Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome back to Let's Play Banjo-Tooie. In the last part, we started exploring the 5th level of the game, Pterodactyl Land, and in this part, we're going to get started on one of the more overarching, I was just about to say plots, one of the more overarching missions in Pterodactyl Land. One of them is this, the Dinosaur Family Cave. Last part I mentioned something about Mumbo coming in here first, but I actually forgot. You actually need to have Banjo come in here first, because you need to have Kazooie drill that rock there before you can have Mumbo do anything. So keep that in mind. You need to come here with Banjo first before even bothering to send Mumbo in. So yeah, keep that in mind. Anyway, this is one of the more overarching missions in the level, because there's actually 3 separate things we need to do in order to get the Jiggy from this dinosaur mom. The first thing we need to do is probably the easiest, and that's get Mumbo in here to make the kid big. You know, that's simple enough. The second thing we need to do is already half done, because if you remember back in Witchy World, we let a dinosaur escape from the Cave of Horrors, and she went into Chuffy when we brought him into the train station. All you have to do to get her back is to just bring the train station into the Pterodactyl Land, bring the train into the Pterodactyl Land station, and she'll automatically come back out. The last one also involves the train, and it's one of the more unique uses of the train in the game. Basically, there's a lot of instances when you, as Banjo and Kazooie, enter or leave an area and then go to another one through a secret passage, but the train actually lets you take stuff from certain levels and use them in other levels. Like, for example, here, the sick child, we actually use him to, in another level by carrying him with Banjo. However, we don't have the ability that'll let us do that just yet, so for the time being, we're just going to be ignoring the dinosaur family for right now. But it's important to get those blocks destroyed just so that you can get started on it, and there's also an empty honeycomb piece, as you saw, so you're going to want to pick that up while you're there just so that you don't forget about it. You know, it's good to get that stuff sort of out of the way. Anywho, over here, and by over here I mean by these cages, is one of those examples. Oh, I'm not exploring the cages right now. I am going to a split up pad? No, I'm going back to these cages. Okay, these cages is one of the examples where you really start using the Clockwork Kazooie eggs for really what they're intended to do. Basically, most of the time when you're trying to use them, I don't recommend using Clockwork Kazooie eggs to fight like normal enemies or anything. Normally, you're sending them through something like this. Like, there's a little mini area that is obviously intended for the Clockwork Kazooie eggs. And you'll find a whole bunch of little holes, and then you send those Clockwork Kazooie eggs through the little holes, and then you can, like, blow up stuff or something. One neat thing about the Clockwork Kazooie eggs, though, is that when you're moving around with them, they can pick up items and other things. So if you run into a bunch of notes while you're playing as the Clockwork Kazooie egg, you'll pick up those notes and they'll be added to your total. And also, when you're the Clockwork Kazooie egg, you can pick up stuff like Jiggies if you want to. There's not too many examples where you would actually need to use the Clockwork Kazooie eggs to pick up Jiggies. But you can also pick up stuff like Jinjos, which is what we're trying to do right now, but I don't know if I managed to get it on this run-through. It's pretty easy to get lost in there, but, you know, there's only so many holes, so eventually you should be able to find it without too much trouble. So, yeah, that's how you get one of the Jinjos. I don't remember exactly how many we have at this point, but, yeah, that's how you get one of them. I think we've gotten, like, 2 out of the 5 that you need to find. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of notes over there, and there's another ability up top there, which I think is yes, it is a Banjo and Kazooie ability. I guess I'll just start talking about it now. This ability you're going to want to get pretty quickly, because not only does it, is it necessary for you to unlock the last overworld section in the game, but it's also pretty important to exploring most of Pterodactyl Land, because the upper tiers of the level are only accessible by using these Springy step shoes. Now, we've seen these things sort of transparent before in earlier levels, but up until this point we haven't really had a chance to use them too much. Basically, they function very similarly to the wading boots and the turbo trainers that we've been using since Banjo-Kazooie. Basically, you put them on and for a limited time you have the ability to jump super duper high. The thing is, however, unlike the wading boots or the turbo trainers, this is a one-time use item. if you run out of help, if you run out of time with them, you'll automatically jump really high. And if you press the A button to jump really high, then that's the only super high jump you get with the shoes on. If you mess up or you need to try again, you have to go back to where the shoes were and grab them again so you can get another shot at it. Really, all they're really there for is to have another sort of roadblock that you can pass, because they don't really have too many creative puzzles with the shoes, although really the shoes have never really been something that you use for puzzles in these sort of games. Really, it's just sort of been like, there's a giant swamp area here, the only way you can pass is by using these wading boots. It's the same sort of thing here, just like there's a cliff that's too high, the only way that you can pass is by using the Springy step shoes. However, after you get after you beat the boss of this level, they're not too useful in this area anymore, because by that point, you've, on top of already just finding all of the warp pads, which makes traveling across the level easier, you unlock a flying pad after you beat the boss of this level, which I don't think I do in this part. No, I'm pretty sure I don't do it in this part. But after you beat the boss, you do get a flight pad, which makes basically going anywhere in the level pretty damn easy. So, you know, you don't need to jump high when you can just fly wherever you want, you know. So, yeah, they're not really used too much in earlier levels. Like, as far as I can remember, I can only think of one section in an earlier level where we needed to use the Springy step shoes for anything, and that's in Glitter Gulch Mine. So if you want to go back and get that jiggy now, I mean, I'm sure you can, but I don't recommend it since we're not really doing any other backtracking in that area for the time being. Anyway, like I mentioned before, yes, that's how you get the first dinosaur kid into back home. All you have to do is just bring the train here with the kid inside, and then he'll automatically run back to his mom. Remember, though, you do have to free him from the Cave of Horrors in order to have him enter the train in the first place. So make sure that when you're trying to get him, that you have the train station open in Witchy World. You have the train in the dock. I don't want to say the train has to be in the station in Witchy World, and the door has to be open to his cell. And once all those three things have happened, then you'll be able to do the stuff with. You'll be able to bring him back to his house. That's what I'm saying. I really do like the dinosaur family though, because it's one of the very few characters in the game that actually does seem like. Well, it seems very, like, earnest and real, because, like, that's all the stuff, well, like, except for the being shrunken part, but it feels very much like a real family there. Like, it's a mother that's concerned for her kids, but also is sort of pissed at them for fucking up all the time. You know, it's just, the writing in this game just is so good at making characters that seem believable, in spite of having very, 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 very limited dialogue. Like, the dinosaur mom only has, like, probably, like, less than 300 words of dialogue total, but you still get a very full sense of her character, you know. Very few games manage to do that, you know, have such I don't want to say fleshed out, but such believable characters with such little writing. And hell, most games with like pages and pages and pages and pages of writing struggle to make characters with really that much believability. And I think that's part of what makes Banjo-Tooie so great in the characters front, is that it has just the right amount of writing for this sort of a game. You know, it's not overwritten to the point where you don't give a shit about what they're saying anymore, but it's not underwritten like Banjo-Kazooie, because Banjo-Kazooie's biggest problem on its plot front, oh, I don't want to say on its plot front, but on its world building front, is definitely how sparse the writing is. Because, you know, Rare, when they try, can be very, very funny writers. You know, stuff like this game and Conker's Bad Fur Day prove that, but in Banjo-Kazooie, it's just, you need to give the characters some time in order to give us something to work with. You know, it's not just like, you can't just have one line saying, I'm an orange, get me to the guy. You know, you need to have enough writing in order to make the characters seem believable, and that's what I really love about this game. Anywho, you're going to want to remember to get those notes on the bottom of the lake there, because, well, they're very easy to miss, I should say. This is a dark green cavern And those notes are not only like in shadowy areas, but they're also underwater. And for the most part, I don't think you'd be hanging out there too much. So it's very easy to forget about those notes. You know, I've done it before, so just remember to get them now because you're definitely gonna want to get this power up right here. This power up, I think it's called the Shack Pack. Whatever it's called, this is the ability that we've been waiting for because this ability basically is basically gonna allow us to take part in a lot of the earlier missions that we had to skip in earlier levels. Oh, also, just for a quick note, during that grip grab section there, you're going to want to press Z to jump down, and then press forward on the control stick so Banjo will fall forward. If you just press Z to jump down, you'll miss the ledge and fall into the water, so make sure to do that when you're trying to get this ability. But thankfully, you know, this ability is one of the most useful in the game, just because there are so many puzzles and areas that take use of it. Basically, it allows us to pick up objects, you know, special predetermined objects, and then carry them to somewhere else. And we use this ability a lot in the game. You know, we're gonna have to backtrack and use it in Witchy World in order to get that fat kid back to his mom. We need to use it in order to get the sick dinosaur back into the train for that mission. You know, we use the whatever it's called. I wasn't really paying attention to its name, but we use this ability quite a bit, especially in upcoming levels. So this is not an ability that you're going to want to miss. Granted, it's a little bit out of the way. You're not always going to be in the river passage, and once you get those notes, that empty honeycomb piece that's obviously there, and the ability, you're never going to come back into this room again. But it's easy. It's an easy ability to miss, but not one that you're going to want to miss, because it is definitely one of the most, I don't want to say useful, because you can't really use it in any unique sort of way, but it's definitely an important power-up to get, because there are so many Jiggies reliant on it. And not even just Jiggies, it's important to unlocking entire rooms in later levels. So you're going to want to remember to pick that up when you get the chance, because, well, not even just when you get the chance, you're just going to want to pick it up as soon as possible. Well, not necessarily as soon as possible. I'm not picking it up as soon as I possibly could have gotten it. I'm just picking it up when it became convenient. You know, I don't really have a set order in which I do the levels. You know, it usually well, I do have a set order in which I do the levels, but I don't have a set order in which I usually do the Jiggies in each level. You know, a lot of the times there are some that I'll go for first, but after I do that, you know, I'll just usually go for the Jiggies that are close by, and then I'll grab those after that. You know, it's just like I'm close to the first Jiggy in Mayhem Temple, and then there's like 3 Jiggies in a relatively close proximity to that one. You know, I'll just go to whatever one's close after that. You know, it's just like whatever one I think of first, or whatever one, you know, I want to deal with next, or whatever. You know, it's just like there's no real specific order that you have to do this stuff in, and that's part of what makes this such a great game, is that it's a truly non-linear experience after you unlock like the first 10 or so. After you get like the first 10 or so Jiggies, it really does become a truly non-linear game. But anyway, you might remember this area from Mayhem Temple. Yes, this is the Unabanga Cave, and we're finally getting a chance to explore it on our own. The thing is, however, you're going to want to enter it from this side entrance that we're going through here, because that's how you unlock your way back to backtracking a little bit more easier. I guess I should explain. You're going to need to press those switches in order to open up the sort of like barred doors, but you can only open the doors from one side, so you're going to want to make sure that you open up the doors as soon as you can and explore this cave from the side that you open the barred doors from. Does that make sense? Probably not, but I'm not going to move on. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Just make sure that you unlock the door so you make backtracking easier. Anywho, new ability, the Hatch ability. The Hatch ability is one of the more context-sensitive ones in the game. Basically, occasionally there will be points where we need to hatch eggs to open up stuff. It's not too interesting. The really only puzzle aspect to the ability is just getting Kazooie to the thing that you're trying to look for. Kazooie on her own isn't as mobile as Banjo and Kazooie together. I mean, she has some pluses, like the ability to use flight pads on her own, while you can't do that with Banjo on his own. But also, just moving around with her is a little bit more treacherous in general, because, you know, she can't do stuff like climb on ledges, and also she has much less health than Banjo, so getting Kazooie to certain areas is a puzzle in and of itself, if you want to consider it that. But for the most part, hatch isn't used in too many unique or interesting ways. It's just another thing where it's just like you see an egg that you're probably going to need to hatch, and you just need to make a mental note of that to watch for that when you're playing as Kazooie on her own. So yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that you're going to need to worry about with that. Anywho, this is an interesting section that I'm pretty much just going to have to talk about right now because it's what's going on screen. In order to get this Lugnut, I think its name is, you're going to have to stand in front of it and then make the Clockwork Kazooie egg jump over that little platforming section there. It's not too hard, but you can, but you might get a little bit cocky because you're just used to the normal platforming in this stage. Because remember, the Clockwork Kazooie egg can't latch onto things, and it has a pretty damn short jumping length too. So you might get, you might mess up, and then, oh, you might mess up like that and fall splat on the ground. Yeah, that was dumb of me. Anyway, yeah, if you mess up with the Clockwork Kazooie egg, you're going to need to fire another one. And you've got pretty damn short amount of ammo for those things, so make sure to make your shots count with that and not fall down the entire mountain like a jackass, which is what I did. Yeah, I'm not necessarily the best guy when it comes to it, but you know what? It actually worked in my favor, because if I didn't do that, I would have forgotten to get those music notes on the other side of the mountain. Basically, those notes, the side of the mountain that we're going on right now and the other side that I fell off of, those two lead to the same place no matter where you Springy step shoe they're from. Like, we're basically on the other sides of the same wall here, so when I'm Springy step shoeing up here, it's basically taking me to the same exact space, so don't really worry too much about that. We're getting close to the top of the mountain, which is where we fight the boss of the level, and we're going to be doing that next time. But there's also another area that you need to watch out for, the Stomping Plains, which I think we might be covering next time. Anyway, just remember to keep an eye out for that and head down there after you face the boss, because, again, that's another area that you're not going to be going to too much, so it's easy to forget about. Also, dinosaur loogies. Ew, gross, man. Why do you have to... can't you just spit that somewhere else? I don't need to be... Ugh. Anyway, next time on Let's Play Banjo-Tooie, we face off against, you guessed it, more dinosaur loogies. I'm ExandShadow, and I'll see you guys later.